Madeline Stillwell, she lied to all of us. Turns out she was a monster. We're just as hurt and upset and confused as everyone else.
The world of superheroes is one that has boomed epically over the past decade or so. Between DC and Marvel, and now other superhero brands coming into the TV movie mix, the box office and screens all over are filled with these stories of heroes and villains. But one show that takes a 180 there is The Boys. The series about a group of regular folks trying to take on the superheroes because they're corporate sellouts that don't care about collateral damage. The show on Amazon has had 2 very beloved seasons so far, and there's a lot in this show that has fit in that you might have missed. Allow us to show you the top 10 Easter eggs from The Boys. Be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Number 10. The details and lore. When it comes to things like The Boys, they obviously based a lot of what they did on the source material from the comics. However, not everything from there can translate to a show like The Boys. Comics have details, but not the kind of details that fill up wide, sweeping city shots that need to have all sorts of things on it and in it. To that end, the best Easter eggs might just be the details and lore that was built by the showrunners and writers to make this feel like a world where superheroes aren't just alive, but marketed to high heaven. They made sure to have all sorts of art, posters, action figures, movie and TV show titles ready, and so on. When they did the race of a century between A-Train and Shockwave, they made sure that the fans in the stands had posters with various catchphrases that fit both competitors. Even the people you meet in the show that are new and from the comics have deeper lore so that it helps benefit the story. You can read all about these when you watch the show on Amazon Prime because they give you BTS info that perfectly showcases why this show is deeper than you would suspect. Number 9. The Joss Cut. In Season 2, Queen Maeve is outed as an LGBTQ+ community member, and her new film is then tailored to that, which Homelander praises by noting, "This new Joss rewrite really sings, huh?" For those who don't get that reference, that's a dig at what happened to the theatrical version of Justice League. You see, the film was originally written and made by Zack Snyder, who did Man of Steel and Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, which is also referenced in the film via Dawn of the Seven. But then, due to a family tragedy, he had to leave the film. Joss Whedon was brought in, and WB stated multiple times that there would be few reshoots and whatnot, but that was a major lie. In fact, about 75% of the film was redone, and very few of Snyder's elements were kept, leaving the theatrical cut of Justice League, as it is now known, to be not just criticized, but rallied against by fans, which led to the Release the Snyder Cut movement that was officially brought to life in 2020 and will release in 2021. So, in short, no Homelander, this Joss cut doesn't sing, it sucks. Number 8. Belize. One of the most shocking things about The Boys Season 1 was the debut of Edgar, who had been heralded as the big boss by Madeline Stillwell to keep Homelander and others in check, because he's the head honcho. We would find out that Edgar was played by Giancarlo Esposito, who of course played Gus Fring in the legendary series Breaking Bad, as well as its prequel Better Call Saul. In his debut, he talks with Madeline and promotes her, and notes, "Someone needs to run this garbage show when I move to Belize." While that may seem like just a funny line about retirement, Breaking Bad used Belize as a metaphor a lot in its run. Not the least of which was that if you are going to Belize, you're basically going to die. Coincidence? We think not. After all, why not say he's going to Bermuda, Aruba, Japan? Why Belize? Exactly. Number 7. Hans Zimmer. As many superhero fans will tell you, when it comes to the movies and TV shows, the music of the product is just as important as anything else. Because the music can set a tone and help you know when something important is about to happen. We all know the legendary Superman theme, or the intro to Batman TAS, or the now legendary Avengers theme, and so on. The team over at Vought seems to recognize this too, because in Season 2, they bring in a right to sell the various scenes of the Seven's new movie. And he describes the climax's scene's atmosphere by saying, Hans Zimmer. Hans Zimmer is of course a legendary music maker who has been a part of various superhero productions, including The Dark Knight, Man of Steel, and the man behind the epic Wonder Woman theme. So yeah, the Seven would use him to make music because why wouldn't they? They're there to make money, right? Number 6. I Can Hear You! Homelander in The Boys is meant to be their version of Superman by being the perfect Boy Scout, who in this case really loves America and would do anything for America. In one of the most infamous scenes in The Boys Season 1, he abandons a hijacked plane full of people because he can't save it in time. But instead of taking a PR hit, he goes in front of cameras and blames NATO and others for not giving them enough warning. The people eat it up, and one person goes, "We hear you, Homelander." And he replied, "And I can hear you. And soon the world will hear you." If that sounds familiar, it should, because the lines are very reminiscent of George W. Bush's speech after 9/11, where he spoke to the people near the lost buildings and proclaimed that the world would hear America as they fought to get payback on those who took down the Twin Towers. It would make sense for Homelander to recite a president, don't you think? Number 5. The Supernatural Connection. Eric Kripke is one of the main masterminds behind The Boys adaptation for Amazon Prime. He is both a producer and a writer for the show. If you think you've heard his name before, you have, because he was the creator of Supernatural, a show that literally just ended after 15 seasons. Though Kripke wasn't there for all 15 seasons, he still very much loves the show. So much so that he references and puts in nods to his former show, such as having Jim Beaver, who played Bobby in Supernatural, be one of the government workers trying to keep Vought in line. And now, in the upcoming Season 3, Jensen Ackles, who played the main character Dean Winchester, will be in the show as one of the original Vought superheroes, Soldier Boy. In short, it's a family affair. Number 4. Fire and Ice. The Boys loves to go and take digs at Marvel and DC. That was part of the reason the main comic was made, and you'll find numerous references to things like the Justice League, the X-Men, and more. On that note, in Season 2, we meet the mysterious former member of the Seven in Lamplighter, a hero that controls fire. In the show, he's played by Shawn Ashmore, who Marvel fans will know as Iceman from the original X-Men movies, and Days of Future Past. It's funny because he went from ice to fire, and Ashmore even noted that while he's more like Iceman personality-wise, he prefers Lamplighter's powers. Number 3. The Me Too movement. One of the more powerful elements of Season 1 is Starlight stepping forward and admitting in front of a Christian crowd that she was violated by another superhero, the Deep. That didn't happen in the comics, and in fact, it was a major change from the lore that was prompted by the #MeToo movement. In the comics, let's just say it got a lot worse for Starlight, but having this happen not only spoke of her strength of character, but as a note that the team hadn't forgotten about what that movement did to expose the evils of certain people. Number 2. Green Lantern. We noted earlier about some of the things the Boys team did to try and flesh out their world, and one of them was the movie titles of their characters. For Homelander, he had two called Brightest Day and Blackest Night, which DC Comics fans will recognize as two key plotlines for beloved character Green Lantern. He also had a movie, and no one likes to talk about it, except star Ryan Reynolds, who makes fun of it constantly. Number 1. The Writers. There are a lot of staff members at Vought who have various roles, and some of their most important people are the public relations staff, who go and make sure everything the Seven and beyond do are in line with what's hip and relevant and marketable in the world today. Two of these PR writers are Seth Reed, Malcolm Barrett, and Evan Lambert, David Reel. Their names are obvious nods to screenwriting duo Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, who also serve as executive producers for The Boys. You have to honor your staff, right? So what do you think? What do you think of this look at The Boys and how it fits in all sorts of little nooks and crannies that make the show even deeper and worth a rewatch? Did you notice the Easter eggs and depths that they went to in order to flesh out the world? Which of these little details made you the most impressed? Do you have another Easter egg that would work on this list? Let us know in the comments below, be sure to subscribe, and we'll see you next time on the channel.